Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, S&OP in the Cloud in 90 Days. My name is Christina Bergman, and I'm the Marketing Manager with AVATA, and I will be facilitating today's event. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few reminders. Please remain muted throughout the presentation as this is being recorded. A copy of the webinar will be emailed to all attendees. And I would like to introduce to you Jim Hetherington, VP of Sales, and Ferguson Neal, a Principal Consultant with AVATA. We're being respectful of your time, so we just are going to get right to it. So, Jim, take it away.
Thanks, Christina. And thank you to everyone for taking the time to be with us today. I'm Jim Hetherington, Vice President of Sales with AVATA. And as Christina mentioned, I'm joined by Ferguson Neal, who heads up all of our integrated business planning and S&OP efforts. Now, before we get started, I've got exactly one slide up front, and I do my best to keep it short so that we can get right into today's content, but I do want to make sure that everyone's got a baseline understanding of who we are. AVATA has been an Oracle partner for more than 15 years, and we have three core services that we provide to the Oracle community. First, we are a leader in Oracle Cloud, including as a co-development partner with Oracle and as a partner with clients who depend on us to help them build a strategy for leveraging cloud solutions today. So, whether we're talking about an end-to-end implementation of Oracle financials to working in a more hybrid on-premise and cloud environment, we help our customers make the best technology choices that drive value now with an understanding of where the industry and Oracle are moving. We are also a full-service JD Edwards shop, and we provide JDE implementations and upgrades, full managed services and hosting to this community. And again, we leverage our depth in the JDE toolset to identify gaps in today's JDE feature set that can be filled completely with available Oracle Cloud solutions. And finally, but to those that know us, by no means does this service come in last. We are one of the strongest services firms in the supply chain management marketplace. Since our founding in 2000, we have delivered more than 250 projects for improving integrated business planning, and we've codified many of the practices which we've seen repeatedly work into approaches for data, Oracle software, and processes that drive sustained success in supply chain planning across industries. Our S&OP Express solution is a perfect example of that. And with this, I'll turn it over to Ferguson.
Well, thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. And as Jim mentioned, we're going to spend the next 30 minutes really talking about a solution we've crafted, an express solution or an accelerator called AVATA IBP Express. And what AVATA IBP Express is, it's a service solution. So it includes a lot of things, but it's primarily around the ability of helping our clients stand up their S&OP process in a short time frame. In other words, getting them capable so they can conduct their first S&OP business cycle within 90 business days. And when we talk about S&OP and the importance of S&OP, we look at that and we think about at AVATA the four key areas that it incorporates. And it's really about the demand review, supply and inventory review, the financial reconciliation that goes on, and then finally the final meeting, the executive review. You look at your business, and according to S&OP best practices, it's about how you look at your business in a long-term planning horizon. And so all that's incorporated inside of our services. We'll show that to you as we go on through the slide deck here. It's about the education and awareness classes. It's about the business process design that supports that. It's about the coaching and mentoring that will go on. And it's, of course, about a tool that's built inside of the Oracle database system that allows you to stand that process up in as little as 90 days. When you think about IBP or S&OP, the four key features there, just to kind of highlight some of those there. Under the demand review, what we're really looking at is a traditional 24-month planning horizon and an unconstrained volume forecast plan. Looking out at what you think your demand is going to be over a long-term planning horizon. And then balancing that with your supply and your inventory plans. Most importantly, though, in our S&OP process, or IBP Express, we're really looking at introducing rough-cut capacity plans, or capacity constraint planning. That's a very complex attribute of advanced planning, and one that is sometimes easily overlooked by many of our clients out there. So we spend a lot of time addressing that in the design reviews to make sure that it's fully incorporated in your S&OP plan. Of course, very important in S&OP, you get a big bang out of the buck, so to speak, when you start balancing supply and demand. But until you get to the next phase of that, which is really the financial reconciliation of it, you're really not talking about, or what you're talking about is the difference between S&OP and integrated business planning. So we have a financial reconciliation process that allows you to both reconcile your demand plan with your supply and inventory plans, and then pass it on for an executive review. And that's very important, because what we want to do is be able to put our clients in a position where they can look at their current proven performance and start to project if they're going to meet or not meet their future financial expectations and what those gaps might look like. By looking at a long-term plan and understanding where your gaps might be financially, it allows the executive team the right amount of time to start making decisions and taking actions to close those gaps. And that's a very important part, or an attribute, of S&OP. If you think about the advantages of IBP Express, there's many of them. We've just listed a few here. It's a business process-driven solution. In other words, it's not about just a tool or about a cycle that you do each month, but it's about the business process itself, and the solution is complete. We've found that success follows a process, and so we keep our clients on that proven path, and we guide them down a road following industry best practices. It's built on an Oracle supply chain tool set, so it's built on the BI tool, and we'll talk a little bit about more of that as we get towards the end of the presentation. It's pre-configured. In other words, we have a set of dashboards that allow you to stand up in 90 days a capable S&OP cycle. It's not the end-all. As you mature both your understanding about S&OP, and as your business changes in the future, you'll be able to add to those dashboards. You'll be able to come up with unique KPIs that mirror the uniqueness of your business. You'll be able to grow with it as you go on. But for the first 90 days, and being able to stand up a capable process, our dashboard has everything you need to get going. So the roadmap allows us to get to that and get to you capable in a short time frame. It also, like most S&OP processes that reflect best practices, it allows you to do scenario planning. In other words, the what-if questions. What if you decide to add capacity in the future? What if you decide to rationalize certain SKUs or product families? What if you have a merger or acquisition going on? So all those capabilities are built into our solution. There's no prerequisite either. In other words, it doesn't matter what maturity level you're at or what advanced planning tools you have. You can have integrated applications already in the Oracle family, or you can have legacy systems that allow you to go ahead and fill those through fact tables into the S&OP or IBP Express. So it's independent on what tool set you have right now. If we look at IBP Express, and we talked about it being more than just a simple tool set itself, it starts off with the awareness and education session that goes on, and that's really talking about bringing your executive team and your managers that drive S&OP at your facility up to understanding what best practices are and what S&OP should look like. It also includes a value workshop. We have found over the years with many of our clients that once the hard work is put into place, it really doesn't stand up until you can take credit for all the improvements you've done. So it's very important to understand what value elements you're going to measure your improvements by and how they tie back both to the balance sheet and your P&L statement. It's very important that you understand that baseline before you start, because you can't take credit for all the good hard effort you've done until you've got that understanding under your belt. The design workshops, this is something we're very proud of at AVATA. We'll talk about this in the next slide. Understanding what's unique about your organization, about how each functional team interacts, and who's on those functional teams is very important, because that's how we're going to craft a design for your S&OP process on a monthly basis. It's important to understand what the KPIs are going to be and what they mean to you and your uniqueness of your business and how you drive success. Then comes the configuration. We set you up with a tool set. We'll show you a couple of examples of that in just a few minutes. And it allows you then to stand that process up, like we said, within the first quarter of taking on this initiative. And most important of all, there's got to be sustainability in any process. It's not enough just to get the process up and running, but it's really the learning curve that goes along with that. It's the maturity and understanding of the importance of S&OP that really comes to life and allows your executive team to understand the power of S&OP, the power of understanding when they need to make decisions and what those decisions are based on. We talk about the BPR process, or the business process design. We've got a level 1 and level 2, in some situations even level 3 detail about your business process. So if you think about S&OP, again, it's based on the 4 key reviews that you have each month in your business cycle. There's the demand review, which is about an unconstrained demand plan. Supply review, which is really talking about constraint or capacity constraint planning. Balancing those two is very important. The financial review, which is reconciling your plans to make sure that they match up to your annual planning budget. And also, you can take your proven performance and start projecting out what your financial expectations are going to be. And then the executive review, and that's coming in with your latest business assumptions and coming up with a single consensus plan, and then starting that cycle again each month. If you look over on the right side, we've got examples of level 2 and level 3 plans. And it's really about understanding what each functional team brings to the S&OP review, what they're responsible for as far as inputs, the activities and decisions that go on, and then, of course, what the outputs of each meeting means, or each review is, as they move forward. If you think about S&OP, you know, a lot of our clients ask, what is it we're trying to get out of this? Is it simply just about balancing supply and demand? And as important as that is, about understanding, is your supply and demand balanced? There's also other questions that S&OP can do for you. It's really about, what's your future look like? In other words, not just next month or even the following quarter, but what your long-term planning horizon looks like. And will you have the right products to meet the demand in the future? Will you have the right product families? Do you have the right SKUs on hand? Will you have the right capacity to meet that? And what's the probability of that future? So we're looking at the performance from your demand side that says, when you look at a forecast long-term, how accurate are you? And that determines the probability of what your future looks like. Is your demand and supply aligned? Very important question for S&OP to understand that and to answer those. Will we meet our financial expectations? Not only for the budget year, but for the upcoming years in your strategy plan. When you think about S&OP, what S&OP really drives is the ability to communicate issues that go on inside of your operations on a monthly basis, and then bubbles up to the executives so they understand what decisions they need to make. And that's what a good best practice S&OP will do. It's really about explaining and outlining what decisions need to be made, and even more important, when those decisions need to be made by the executive team. Now we'll take a quick a quick view of our dashboards here. And again, this is built on the APCC dashboard, or the APCC platform. Inside of these, you'll see the current dashboards will have the demand review, the supply review, financial reviews, and then the executive review. In this first dashboard here, you can see the tabs up top. We've got the reviews and some key KPIs that go along with that. Here's the financial and the executive review. We're always in S&OP comparing something to a baseline, typically your current plan. You're able to review past plans or scenario plans as you put them up to. You can view it by family and by subfamily. Remember, best practice S&OP is about looking at an aggregate view of your long-term plan. The tool itself allows the demand planners or supply planners to drill down to a SKU level, but for an executive review, we would never recommend that. We'd recommend that you stay at the subfamily or family level in performance. In this particular one, we're looking at the typical forecast accuracy. As you can see by the high-level KPIs, we're looking at the error rate, MAPE, and a tracking signal. Tracking signal is just another way of looking at bias, and if you have bias inside your forecast or not. Another variation for another view for the demand review dashboard is really the variance to budget. In other words, where has your forecast been off in the past to a variance to your planned budget or your financial expectations? And it simply tells us where we think we're going to be, what's the probability or likelihood of this coming to fruition, and then if it's inside some of our guidelines here, we're measuring an average of a 3-month MAPE. For the supply dashboards, it's very important that we look at this one here on the upper left-hand corner, because we've got as a combination of a variety of inputs. You've got a long-term or a 24-month planning or supply horizon that talks about what your supply is going to be in the green bar, what your inventory position is going to be in the yellow bar. Intermixed with that, we've got your annual plan or your budget, and then we've got your current demand plan following and tracking along with that. It's very important to understand the history of it, because we want to gauge what your future looks like on proven performance. Not on planned performance, but proven performance, projecting outward. It also allows you to quickly look at gaps that you might have in here and how it's going to affect your inventory position. So you can see where supply is going to have a hard time keeping up with the demand in the future. So it allows you to make a decision. Do you stock up on inventory months and ahead of time, or you make the capital investment maybe that's necessarily required to keep up with this demand plan? That's the importance of having a long-term planning horizon and getting past the quarter and looking at a minimum of 24 months. One of the other areas that we like to focus on when we get to the demand reviews is rough cut capacity planning. It's a concept that's easily overlooked by many of our clients. And what they do is they talk about what the plan is for supply and where the expectations are on that. But very few of our clients actually go back and look at proven performance to judge their rough cut capacity performance. So it's important that we capture that and allow you to, when you look at your future and start projecting what the capabilities are, that it's based on proven performance or what history has told us will come true. Finally, we start to wrap up here. Here's a typical dashboard report for financial. In finance, we're always looking at many things. First off, how did I do now and how did I do last year? What was my performance this month versus last month? In this view, what we've got is your financial budget, your gross margin. You've got last year's gross margin plan versus this year's gross margin plan. You've got your two views. In other words, you're looking at what your current plan is and what changed this month. And then we can even incorporate last year's performance on top of that. So giving the financial team a quick look at where they are both on history and looking forward. When we talk about a roadmap for IBP Express, it's very simple. IBP Express can either be hosted in the AVATA Business Cloud, on-prem, or in the Oracle Business Cloud. And our design in our future roadmap is to make sure that IBP Express is going to be imported into Oracle's S&OP in the cloud as that's released in the future. Now we get asked from a lot of our customers, how do we get started? Where do we begin if we're either new at it or we're not sure how mature our S&OP process is? And we've got two recommendations for you. You can contact us and do a quick online assessment. It's very simple. We have an online survey. We ask about 15 to 20 questions, and then we'll come back and give you a readout of where your organization is in comparison to the rest of the folks who have filled out this online assessment and in comparison to best practices. It's a great way to kind of spend a minimum amount of time and get your teams, executive teams, headed around where they are in S&OP and what they should be considering. The second opportunity is to contact AVATA to do a one-day on-site assessment. What it means is instead of filling in the online questions, we'll come in and we'll do the assessment ourselves in the morning. put together a report for you, and share that output with you in the afternoon. Again, it's about an awareness, where you stand currently, and how you're benchmarking yourself to industry best practices around S&OP. The only prerequisite or requirement we have is that the readouts are done with the owners, the executive owners of the S&OP process at your facility. Jim, at that note, I think we've covered everything we wanted to touch today in a very quick webinar for us. And I'm going to pass it back over to you. And if you have any closing comments, that'd be great.
We did. Thanks, Ferguson. We appreciate it. And I guess I'll just close off with saying, please feel free to contact us to know more. We've got our email and phone up on the slide right now, or feel free to visit us at avata.com or at any of our social media sites. Thank you once more. We appreciate it and hope you've all taken something out of today's webinar.